South Carolina is long known for using campaign dirty tricks. And there are early signs that this race is about to get nasty. Charleston's Post and Courier newspaper even set up a website for people to report campaign shenanigans. It has several unverified accounts of shady phone calls, mailers, and stolen campaign signs, but so far nothing compared to the mudslinging we've seen in the past. Remember back in 2000, recorded phone calls suggested that John McCain had a mixed-race love child. In truth, the McCains had adopted an orphan from Bangladesh, but nothing like these calls were out. In 2007, fake Christmas cards went out to make it look as if they were from Mitt Romney. They contained controversial quotes from the Book of Mormon, an attack on Romney's faith. And just 2 months ago, a popular local blog warned of a coming bombshell and a candidate with a mistress. It didn't give any names and gave no proof of any scandal. Let's bring in Shira Center. She's a political editor of the Boston Globe newspaper. 2000, back the John McCain accusations, even for South Carolina, it was pretty despicable, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very much beyond the pale. I mean, South Carolina, as you said, is known for these really dirty politics. You know, it's the first in the South presidential primary. It's also known for some of its zanier politics as well. And it's known for where politics gets really personal. And even for that, I think it was the rumors that flew in 2000 were beyond the pale.
What are we to expect this time?
Well, I think it's one of the first times we might see candidates get a little more personal in terms of attacking each other. Donald Trump has, not been afraid to level insults at basically everyone in the race, but he'll do it to your face. In South Carolina, it's much more about whisper campaigns behind people's backs. So I would not be surprised if you maybe heard about some things in Donald Trump's past that have not been publicized before. Look, he says he's a self-professed Christian now, but he's also been married multiple times. In terms of when you think of a politician who typically has a squeaky clean record, Donald Trump does not necessarily line up with that. So I think you'll probably hear a lot more about that than you heard in the Iowa caucuses or the New Hampshire primary. The
religious play is effective in South Carolina.
Yeah, it is effective. And you look at South Carolina Republicans, and they aren't necessarily there aren't as many Christian conservatives as the percentage of those who show up for the Iowa caucuses, but they're certainly much more religious Republicans who participate in the South Carolina primary than in New Hampshire. So it is a much more religious state in terms of the Republican primary. And what you'll see is Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz really fighting for that vote. But the South Carolina primary also has a large contingent, I should mention, of business-minded Republicans as well. It's a little more diverse, too.
It's really two states, at least politically. It was before and even more now. I guess the North and West there would be more of a fundamentalist religious area. And then once you get down on the coast, money matters. So I wonder if you'll see Cruz and some of them up there to the northwest, and then Trump down along the coast.
You'll see Trump down along the coast. You'll probably see Jeb Bush on the coast quite a bit as well. That's prime territory for him. Let's also remember South Carolina is a military state, so it's a place where we'll probably be talking about defense and national security much more than we have in the previous two nominating contests.
It's a little frustrating not having any polls to look at, though sometimes they're not very right, though they were in New Hampshire. I wonder if the campaigns have internals that reporters like you are aware of that might give us an insight.
Usually when campaigns share internal polling, unless they want it to get out there, they'll say, you can show it to you, but it has to stay off the record. So, but I would be very surprised if any of the major campaigns at this point are not doing daily tracking in South Carolina to see where their numbers are. And let's remember this race has shifted, too. Since Christie and Fiorina dropped out, that was 11% of the vote in New Hampshire. And when you're talking about 3 points here, 4 points that way, and between John Kasich, Jeb Bush, and Marco Rubio, that can make a difference.
Sometimes how they act tell us what their polls are telling them. And I wondered if we got a sign of that today when Donald Trump started taking shots at Jeb Bush again. He'd really been off the radar for Donald Trump for a long time, pero no más.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. But I also think Donald Trump is riding this wave from New Hampshire. He's feeling confident. He's feeling good. And I think Jeb Bush, frankly, is just his favorite target. He loves really sticking it to the establishment. And I think if he's going to pick anyone to jab at on the debate stage or otherwise, he'd pick Jeb Bush.
You're probably absolutely right about that. It's great to talk to you. Thanks so much for being with us from the Boston Globe. Appreciate it.
Thank you.